Peace, peace. Shalom, shalom. And welcome to the Ascension. It's your boy Benaiah. First off, I want to say, give an honor to the Most High Ahaya or Yahuwah, God. Give respect to his son Yeshaya or Yahushua HaMashiach, who others call Jesus Christ. And give respect to the Ruach HaKodesh, to the Holy Spirit, to the Holy Ghost, the Shekinah. What's good? What's up? Man, I want to give a big shout out to two brothers that shared this channel, shared this page, and I picked up some new subscribers. I'm going to say welcome to y'all, but shouts out to D'Angelo Bravo. Shouts out to Brother Abdullah the Seer. Man, some good brothers, man. Some good brothers. You know, threw your boy a bone. They didn't have to, but they did. And I appreciate it. I don't take it lightly. You know, I'm giving this work. I'm giving this truth. And I thank you for trusting in me so that the people can trust in it too. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're going to move forward with the work. But again, thank y'all. Thank everybody that came on board, you know, and we're going to push truth to our understanding. You know, truth is true, but we evolve, you know, and a lot of times we get on an esoteric kick and we all want the higher understanding and the higher knowledge. So today, we're going back to the basics. We're going back to the basics because I feel like, well, that's not even about what I feel. The Most High told me that we're starting to get drunk off of knowledge. And we're starting to forget about righteousness, what it is to be holy, you know, what it is to be set apart. You know, as you get into esoteric knowledge, of course, that changes, but we have to go at the fundamentals, you know, first. I feel like sometimes, especially, you know, recently, that we're giving spiritual kids, spiritual children, or people who aren't that advanced or that further along in their understanding, we're giving them algebra. You know, I work with kids, right? That's what I do for a living. And I can't give a 5-year-old algebra. If I give a 5-year-old algebra, he's going to grow up thinking that he hates math, not knowing that he is divine math. You created math, but I taught you wrong. I gave you algebra. I have to give a 5-year-old basic math, 1 + 1. You see, who we know is Christ, he had that understanding, and he knew that. So that's why he said, you know, this law, this basic law, was a schoolmaster, you know, to read you or to guide you. I think that's in Galatians, but to guide you to a higher consciousness, a higher Christ consciousness, to a higher level of knowledge. But he knew he just couldn't give them that at first. He said, I didn't come to change nothing of the law, you know, a dot or a tittle. Because he understood that that was a guide. And so before we get esoteric, we have to continue to guide, you know, and then we'll get into this higher knowledge as Yah leads it to you. You know, I've come to understand and I've come to know that I can't wake nobody up. You know, and it used to be, especially when I was sort of very, very much carnal in my Hebrew understanding. You know, Deuteronomy 28 to me was plain and simple. And if people didn't see it, it was because they didn't want to see it, or it was because that, you know, they didn't want to leave the church, or they didn't want, either way, it was a comfort thing for me. And it's like, yo, it's right here, it's right here. Then, a few years ago, not a few years ago, yeah, about 2 years ago, I got smacked. It's like, bro, who woke you up? It was me. This knowledge ain't new. It's been there. But you just woke up 10 years ago. Quote unquote woke up. I'm still waking up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you was 33. So who are you to say that they should get it now? That's on me. That's on me to do. All I need you to do is drop the seed. All I need you to do is drop the seed. So that's all we're going to do. All right? But if I were to title this lesson, it would be Stop Looking Back, but we have an issue with blood. Stop looking back, Israel. We have an issue with blood. Vince, what you talking about? Benaiah, what you talking about? Well, let's get into it. Let's start off in the book of Exodus. We're going to go to the story about worshiping the golden calf. Let's go to the book of Exodus. Exodus 32. And I don't plan on being here for long, but we're going to do what the Most High say do. Exodus 32. And I'm going to start off at verse 1. We're going to read verses 1 through 6. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us a god, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is to become of him. Now I want you to look at this, and look at the characteristics of our people, right? And so when the people saw that Moses delayed, Moses took a little long. For those that don't know, he was up on Mount Sinai, right? He was up there 40 days, 40 nights, blah, blah, blah. But he was up there on Mount Sinai, and people got together. We got impatient. They left their comfort zone. They left Egypt. They left what they know is home. Now, keep in mind, they were there for over 400 years. I want you to put that and put yourself in this Bible. I'm going to walk in my gifting, man. Put yourself in this Bible, right? We've been here in this country, in this land, according to the Bible, or I know some of us have already been here. You know what I'm saying? But for those who haven't, who actually did come over on the boats, over a little bit like 400 years, right? So after 400 years, a lot of us speak English. A lot of us don't have our native tongue. We speak English. We write English. You know what I'm saying? We truly adapted this culture. You know what I'm saying? This American culture. And so by this time, these people have been there for over 400 years. They're no different from you and I. To where they adapted the culture, they adapted the religion, they adapted everything, right? And so they said to him, because this new God, this God of the Israelites, brought them up out of captivity. But in captivity, they was eating good. In captivity, they got used to it. In captivity, for what they understand, they were free. So like a lot of us, if I were to take you somewhere and you no longer have your steaks, you no longer have your chicken, you don't have none of that, you just drinking water and bread, you can be like, take me back to the crib. Well, what you talking? Take me back to the crib. And so sometimes when we look at this Bible, we're like, oh, how could they? You would do the same thing. You would do the same thing. So now they're like, make us up some gods that shall go before us. Because this man that bought, he said, this man, they know his name, your boy, because your boy. This man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we don't know what happened to him. We don't know what become of him. And so, all right, boom, that's what happened. So I'm going to put this on the reel. And Aaron said unto them, break off your golden earrings, which are in the ears of your wives and your sons and your daughters, and bring them unto me. Now, in case y'all haven't known, it's always been our culture to wear jewels. We always wore jewels. You know what I'm saying? So when we see some of these hip hop artists or whatever the case may be, we wear a lot of jewelry, we wear a lot of gold. DNA has memory. We always wore jewels. It was always iced out. So when he said, break off your golden earrings, which are in the ear of your wives and of your sons, yeah, the boys had earrings, the wives had earrings. I'm not going to go into what's the meaning behind the earrings and all that stuff, but we always rock jewels. Always rock jewels. All our kings always rocked. We always did. It's our culture, right? And all the people broke off the golden earrings which were in the ears and brought them into Aaron. And he received them out of their hand and fashioned it with the graving tool after he made it a molten calf. And they said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. Now, he made, of course, the golden calf, the symbolic golden calf. And he said that these be the gods that brought you out of the land of Egypt. Now, when I was in the church, I never understood why he would make a golden calf. What's the symbology of that? And what's that have to do with anything? If anything, wouldn't you make a God that you were familiar with? And then a few years ago, not a few years ago, maybe a couple months ago, the Most High gave me a download that this is the God that they made out of Egypt. Her name is Hathor. Her principal form was that of a cow. Hathor is what they worshiped for 400 years. Hathor is what they assimilated to when they assimilated to that Egyptian culture. It's no difference from you if I were to take you from the crib or whatever, and some of you, and I'm saying we are following the God of the Israelites, but some of you are going to fall back into what you know, and when things get hard, you're going to start praying to that cross. Like, you're going to start wearing a cross around your neck, and you're going to start praying to Jesus. This is what they did. This is the golden calf. This is probably what she would have looked like. But this is that golden calf. Her principal form was that of a cow. So they made Hathor. It wasn't just some God that they didn't know. This has been the God that they've been worshiping for 400 years. Just the same way as you have gotten used to that cross, the same way as some of us have gotten used to that stone because you was a Muslim, the same thing. They made a God that they were familiar with. All right? So yeah, there's going to be some esoteric in this, but we're going to get some understanding. I'm going to break it down how we do. So what she symbolized was she was a goddess of fertility. She was a goddess of pleasure, of sexuality, of love. She was closely associated with motherhood, but the other thing she was associated with was joy. They wanted the happy days back. Remember, the title of this lesson is Don't Look Back. We have an issue with blood. Don't look back, Israel. We have an issue with blood. But they wanted the joy back. They wanted the happiness back. As we move forward, they wanted that comfort back, right? So let's read on. So now they made the golden calf, who symbolized Hathor, who took on the principal form of a cow. And that's the God they've been worshiping the whole time in Mitzrayim. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. Now we're going to go into Aaron. Maybe that's a little bit later, because Aaron got bad rap for this, but we have to understand the totality of it. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and bought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. Now we know later on that Moses came down, seen them partying, seen this idol, this idol of Hathor, or the golden calf, because that's what she was represented as. And he had a fit. He broke down the first tablets. Boom, slammed to the ground. He went back up. He said, yo. And God was like, what's up with your people? He said, man, they can't keep this higher law. We got to give them a lesser law. We got to give them a lower law. They can't even understand this, man. So the Most High gave them the 10 Commandments. And then those 10 commandments, let me move this out the way. And then those 10 commandments, what was the first thing he said in those 10 commandments? The first one, thou shalt not have no other gods before me. The first thing he told him. As soon as he took down the ones that he inscribed in stone, the first commandment, you all can't have no other gods before me. You know, and some of us now that we're getting some more understanding, we're starting to connect to the gods of Egypt. We're connected to Quetzalcoatl, and we're going all these different places, and we have to get back to the basics, and that is, you cannot worship no other gods before the Creator. The Creator created all those other gods. He is the Creator, right? And so when we start getting so esoteric, we start going here, we start going there, and I'm with it, and I understand. We got different messengers, like Vishnu and Buddha and the divine masters that were sent. But we have to maintain and keep the fact that they're just that. And in my culture, they were just messengers sent to bring you back to the light. And in my culture, we have Enoch, we have Christ, we have Elijah, we have other messengers who were sent to bring us back. So then I'm starting to see some people who are quote unquote in understanding, and now they're taking on the forms of different goddesses and gods, and I'm this and I'm that. You tripping. You tripping. They're nothing but gods. We acting just like our forefathers did. Let's not forget who is who and what's what. We got to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is that the Creator, the God of all, he deserves the worship. He deserves the praise. Right? Don't look back. We're starting to get into what got us originally in trouble. Don't put these other gods before the Creator. He said that you are gods. We have to find the Christ within us. It's not going to be in Hathor. I'm not going to build no idol of Hathor. It's not going to be in no cross that I got from my dad's church. It's going to be in you. And you have to raise yourself up and get in line with the Creator. Let's go on. Let's go on. Let's go to Genesis. I'm going to stay in the Bible. Let's go to Genesis. Genesis 19. We have an issue with blood. We're going to get to it. Genesis 19. (17 through 26). And it reads, Genesis 19, 17 through 26. Lot's wife turned to a pillar of salt. Let's get some esoteric understanding on it. What does it really say? But let's read. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, and he said, escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in thy plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be considered, and lest thou be consumed. Look not behind thee. Now, I was born in 79, right? So I'm like a true hip-hop generation, a true hip-hop head. And Pop used to have a song, I'm looking at the world through my rear view, praying to God, he can hear you. All that stuff, not realizing at the time that I'm putting spells on myself and I'm cursing at myself. But I thought that was a real thing. I'm looking at the world through my rear view. You know what I'm saying? Like thinking that was a good thing. I'm moving forward, looking at the world through my rear view. Nah, that's a bad thing. You ain't supposed to be looking at the world through your rear view. That's what happened on the mountain, looking at the world through the rear view. That's what's going to happen to Lot's wife. She was looking at the world through her rear view. That's what's starting to happen to some of us. We're looking at the world through our rear view. Nah. Do you know why the glass in the front of the car is so much bigger than the mirror in the rear view? Because that's the smaller picture. That's why that mirror is so big, this big. And that's why your windshield is this big. You ain't supposed to be looking at the world through your rear view. You can look back, but you can't stay. Some of us can't even look back. Me? When the Most High bought me, I'd be just like Lot's wife. I'll turn to a pillar of salt if I look back. I'm thankful for where I came, but I can't look back. Worst of the worst. I was a gremlin. Can't look back. Let's go. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold now, the city is near to flee unto, and is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither, and my soul shall live. He said, man, no. Let me go to this other city over here. Now, look, we'll get to it. And he saith unto me, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also. Thou wilt not overthrow this city for which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, hurry up, and escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. Now go to Abdullah the Seer's page, Abdullah the Seer, and he did a lesson about this city. You know, we have a book called the Zohar, which I think it's the book of splendidness or the splendid book, something like that. But he did a lesson on the Zohar and the city of the Zohar and the safe place and the correlations with the book. Now, if you want some deeper understanding, you need to go to his page. I don't know, it was probably a few months back, but look up that lesson, and this will give you some deeper understanding of actually where Lot fled to. All right. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. So as soon as he went into Zoar, it turned to the next day. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities, that which he grew upon the ground. Verse 26. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. But his wife looked back. And oftentimes we hear, like, why would she look back? What? Internalize this word, because some of us are looking back. Why did she look back? Because comfort was there. The only life she knew was there. Family was there. Everything that she became accustomed with was there. And now look at us, that some of us were on the brink, and I could feel it in my bones. We are on the brink of a breakthrough, or of a merge, or on a synchronism, an ascension to the next level. And some are feeling the vibes, but we're looking back because we want to hold on to what's secure. We want to hold on to what's familiar. See, the Most High is trying to take you to a different place, to an upper place in Him. I mean, and I know what that's like. As I started my ascension, you know, and as I look, you know, it's been my whole life. It's all been building up to this. But there were some people, and there are some ministries along the way who didn't want to go. When the Most High started giving this different information, they say, I've come far enough. I can stop here. You know? And some of us are saying, because we don't know, that we can stop here. There's this thing about, you know, believe. Believing and knowing. And that is, believing is, you believe because you're not quite sure and because you don't know. Like, I don't believe that I have a darker complexion. I know I have a darker complexion, right? I don't believe I'm a human being. I know I'm a human being, but there are certain things that, and he was saying, like, believing is bad because believing means that you don't know for sure. But according to the scripts, we have to get people to believe until they do know. I had to have faith. I had to believe until the Most High confirmed it. I had to believe that there are other teachings outside of this Bible. I had to believe it. The Spirit had to show me that. I had to confirm it, but I had to believe it first. I had to believe because I was under the impression that Scripture was just the Holy Bible. And then the Most High had to show me that no, I had scripts everywhere. The world cannot contain my works. But as people, I'm not even a believer anymore because I know, but I follow. So I still consider myself a believer. I believe in the Most High, and I believe in creation. I believe that he is Yah over anything and everything. He has created multiple worlds. These are things that I know now, but I had to believe it first. We can't, for those of us who are leading, we cannot lose sight of the fact that it's our job to present the material. And the Most High will make them believe until they know. But there's nothing wrong with someone who's early in their faith game who are believing. Because look at you as a person. Didn't someone have to believe in you until they knew who you were? When I meet someone new, they have to believe in me. Those that know me, they know how I get down. They already know. But it starts with belief. We cannot poo-poo belief. They had to believe that Christ was Christ until they knew. You have to believe that Christ is truly in you and that Jacob's ladder is your 33 until you know. We got to get back to the basics. We got to get back to the basics. So when she looked back, a lot of us spiritually are still looking back. The Most High is trying to take us somewhere. But we have an issue with blood. Vince, you've been saying we have an issue with blood, man. What do you mean? But now you've been saying we have an issue with blood. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? All right. Let's go. Let's go. I'm going to get a verse. I'm going to break this thing on down to where I know you haven't heard it because the Most High gave it to me. He gave it to me. Let's go. We're going to go to the story of the woman with the issue with blood. If you grew up in the church like I did, we heard countless preachers preach on this thing. Countless preachers preach on this thing. Run around the church, shout, blah, 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 boom, bow. People caught the spirit, but we never got the true understanding of what it meant. So we're going to flow in our gift in the day. Let's go to Luke. Luke 8. And we're just going to read verses. I'm going to read verses 40 through 44. Luke 8, we're going to read just 4 verses, 40 through 44. We're going to wrap up soon. And it came to pass that when Jesus was returned, the people gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. So obviously Christ went somewhere, and when he got back, the people was happy because they've been waiting on him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue. And he fell down at Jesus' feet, and besought him that he would come into his house. So now there was this guy named Jairus, right? And he was the ruler of the synagogue. What's the synagogue? He was the ruler of the church, or a pastor, if you will. And he fell down at the feet of Christ and besought him and begged him that he would come to his house. I want y'all to think about this picture, right? So, because some of us are in this kind of role right now, as to where we're in this truth and we're pushing this truth, and that some of the religious leaders, some of the people in the church who are supposed to have some understanding, supposed to have some power, are now coming to you and asking you, what do you think about this? Can you break this down? Or your power, the power of Yah, the power of the true power of the Israelites, because we're not in a religion, that power, they wanted some of that power, right? Because if Christ wanted to be smart, he could be like, ain't you the leader of the synagogue? Who you praying to? Why can't whoever you praying to do it? Because they're in a religion. But let's read on. For he had only one daughter, about 12 years of age, and she lay dying, and she was dying. But as he went, the people thronged him. So as he went, everybody was, we get in the crowd. Oh. And a woman having an issue of blood for 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any. But a woman who had an issue of blood, who spent all her money on these doctors, they could not fix her. She could not be healed. Verse 44, she came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood was staunched. Immediately when she touched the border of his garment, her issue of blood stopped. Now I said, we have an issue with blood. We have to get back to the basics. So what does that mean? So it says that he touched the border of his garment. So now let's break this down. What was on the border of our garments at that time? Go to the book of Numbers. Numbers, because this is esoteric. Numbers 15, we're going to read verses 38 through 40. Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders of ribbon of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them, that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your God. So now when we look at this esoterically, what does the woman represent in the Bible? It represents the bride. It represents the church, right? And the church is bleeding. We have gone a whoring. We have an issue with blood. We keep looking back. We keep being liars. We keep being thieves. We keep being murderers. We keep slandering people. We keep cursing people. We have an issue with blood. So in order to cure this issue with blood, we have to touch the hem of the garment. We have to go back to commandment keeping. We have to go back to understanding what has got us. Because when we go back to commandment keeping as a nation, our issue with bleeding will stop. That's what that means. When she touched the hem of his garment, when the wife, when the bride, when the church goes back and we touched the hem of his garment because we were bleeding. See, I can speak for Vince. I was very bloody. And when I touched the hem of his garment, my bleeding stopped. But see, now that I'm on a different and a higher understanding, see, now I bleed for different reasons. Just me personally. If Vince is starting to go back and eating flesh, I'm bleeding. If I have lustful thoughts, after, because as a former whoremonger, if I have lust, I'm bleeding. But see, now I bleed differently than what I used to bleed before. But as a church, as a nation, as a people, we have gone a whoring. And we have an issue with blood because we're looking back. We have to get back to the basics. See, we have to touch the hem of his garment. We have to get back to basic law keeping, basic commandment keeping, basic walking in righteousness. Be thou holy, for I am holy. Back to that. We have all this knowledge, but no righteousness. Back to that. We're bleeding. That's what that whole issue with blood was all about. That's what that woman represented. It represented you. It represented the church. So now we have to look in us. Are you bleeding? Are we bleeding? Yeah, we're bleeding. We're bleeding. And it's back to the basics. Thou shalt not have no other God before me. Love me with all your heart, with all your understanding, with all your righteousness. Love your neighbor as yourself. You bleeding, Benaiah. You bleeding, Vince. You need to touch the hem of the garment. We bleed in church. We're drowning in knowledge, but we're thirsting in righteousness. We're bleeding. Just a little something simple on this Shabbat. You know, I say what I gotta say, and that's that. I say what the Most High tell me to say. And he said, tell him to stop looking back because we got an issue with blood. Tell him to touch the hem of the garment. Stop listening to Pop. Don't really stop listening to Pop, but stop looking at the world through your rear view. Look at the bigger picture that's in front of you. And believe until you know. Because I'm going to show you. But it takes faith. Just the principles, man. Just the basic principles. All right? Don't neglect them. Don't neglect them. Shabbat shalom. Welcome to the good side. We on y'all side. Welcome to the good side. We on y'all side. And you know we stay doing it. Y'all's way or no way. It's y'all's way or no way. We are walking under that spiritual order. We are walking under that order of Melchizedek. We are spirit-led. We are back to the basics. We back to touching the hem of the garment. We back to living righteously. We back to being a holy, set-apart nation, a holy, set-apart people. When we understand that that's really a spiritual light. I'm not getting into that. And we definitely unashamed about that. Benaiah is out. Peace.